Across Wisconsin, there are traces of communities that never truly disappeared overnight, but were slowly abandoned piece by piece. Not because of a major disaster, not because of one dramatic event, but because of time, change, and a world that kept moving forward. Some of these places are completely gone, leaving behind nothing but names that sound like legends. Others once held promise, before everything quietly fell apart. And among them are towns that still remain, silent, remote, and nearly forgotten, as if they are simply waiting for their turn to vanish. This is not just a list of ghost towns. It is a story about places left behind by time, and how, one by one, they slowly fade from the map. Hidden deep within the dense forests of Wisconsin, there is a place whose name sounds almost mythical, Lost City. And in this case, the name is not just symbolic. In the late 19th century, this area was once home to a small community built around logging and farming. But like many small settlements in the Midwest, its survival depended entirely on the local economy. When the timber industry declined and jobs began to disappear, the residents did not leave all at once. They drifted away gradually. Today, Lost City has left behind almost nothing. There is no downtown, no abandoned storefronts, not even clear traces of buildings. What remains is only forest, and perhaps, if you know where to look, the faint outline of old foundations or a forgotten cemetery hidden among the trees. The next place goes even further, because here, there was barely ever a town to begin with. In the Shawano area, life did not revolve around a main street or permanent homes. Instead, it centered on logging camps, temporary, rugged, and entirely dependent on the surrounding forest. Workers would arrive, live in simple barracks, cut timber through the season, and then move on as resources shifted elsewhere. When the timber supply declined and the logging industry moved on, these camps were not abandoned in the usual sense. They simply stopped existing, dismantled, left behind, and slowly reclaimed by nature. There are no signs marking where the Shawano Logging Camps once stood. No dramatic ruins like other ghost towns. Just quiet forest, and maybe, beneath layers of soil and leaves, the faint remains of lives that were once brief but real. Clam Lake tells a different story, a place that once promised a future before slowly collapsing. In the area around Clam Lake, life once thrived because of one thing: iron. In the late 19th century, the discovery of iron ore deposits attracted workers, investors, and families hoping to build new lives. Small settlements began to form, simple homes, basic facilities, and a growing community in the forests of northern Wisconsin. For a time, everything seemed stable, but when mining output declined and operations were no longer profitable, the foundation of the community quickly weakened. Jobs disappeared, and like falling dominoes, residents began to leave. Not all at once, but fast enough for the town to lose its sense of life. This place takes us further back, to a time when even the future itself was uncertain. In the valley known as Mormon Coulee, there once stood a small settlement built by early pioneers, including Mormon settlers who passed through and attempted to establish a community here in the mid-19th century. From the beginning, Mormon Coulee was a simple settlement, just a handful of homes, farmland, and the hope of building a new life on a still untamed frontier. There was no major industry supporting it, only persistence and belief that this place could become home. But that also made it fragile. Some settlers eventually moved west, following larger migration routes. Others relocated to more developed areas around La Crosse. Slowly, without any dramatic event, the community faded away. If Mormon Coulee faded quietly with little trace, Caryville feels like the next step, a place that has completely slipped off the map of everyday life. Once, Caryville was just a typical small Midwestern community. Not large, Not remarkable, perhaps only a few homes, dirt roads, and local activity tied to farming or small nearby industries. These kinds of places rarely make it into major history, yet they were where daily life quietly unfolded. But unlike Clam Lake, which declined because of mining, or Shawano, which was temporary from the start, Caryville had no single defining moment of collapse. It disappeared in a quieter way. Jobs moved elsewhere, younger generations left, infrastructure never expanded, and slowly, almost unnoticed, the community stopped growing, and then stopped existing. Upson brings us back to something more tangible, a place that still stands, but no longer as it once was. In Iron County, deep in northern Wisconsin, Upson once depended on the same foundation as Clam Lake, iron mining. In the early 20th century, the area attracted workers and families who relied on the stability of the industry. A small community formed, enough to create a life that was simple but real. But like many mining towns, everything rested on a fragile base. When the industry weakened, Upson did not suddenly disappear. There was no overnight exodus. Instead, the town experienced something quieter, a slow decline. Today, Upson still exists on the map. There are still homes, still signs of life, but the atmosphere feels different, calmer, thinner, as if it carries only the echo of a time when the town was far more alive. If Upson is a story about a place that endured after decline, then Clark's Mills feels quieter, not because it collapsed, but because it simply stopped growing. Located in Manitowoc County, this small community began with something simple: milling and farming. Like many Midwestern settlements, Clark's Mills developed slowly, just enough to support local life, with scattered homes and daily activity centered around basic needs. There was never a major boom, no dramatic peak of prosperity, and perhaps that is exactly what shaped its future. As nearby towns expanded, drawing in jobs, infrastructure, and younger generations, Clark's Mills was left behind, not because of disaster or economic collapse, but because the world around it moved faster. Very little changed, and very little arrived. Pembine takes us deeper into a different kind of quiet, one shaped not by stagnation, but by isolation. Located in northern Wisconsin near the Michigan border, Pembine once depended on the same foundation as many other places: logging and natural resources. The surrounding forest was not just scenery, it was the reason people came and settled there. But when that industry declined, Pembine did not collapse. It simply became smaller. There was no dramatic moment when everyone left. Instead, the population slowly shrank, leaving behind a scattered community spread across a vast forest landscape. Roads grew quieter, homes farther apart, and daily activity more limited. Pembine is still alive, but at a very different pace. It is not a busy place, nor one that is rapidly growing. It feels more like a small point on the map sustained by those who choose to remain. Hollandale brings us back to something a little more alive, yet still small and modest. Unlike the previous places, Hollandale is not a town that faded or disappeared. This small village still stands with a clear sense of community, even if it remains far from bustling. Surrounded by farmland in southwestern Wisconsin, life here moves at a steady rhythm, calm, predictable, and largely unchanged. Hollandale developed as an agricultural community, and that identity remains strong today. And perhaps that is what sets it apart. It never truly declined, because it was never built on something that could quickly collapse. Hollandale continues to exist not as a ghost town or a forgotten place, but as a reminder that not every small town ends in disappearance. After Hollandale, a small village sustained by its simplicity, Glenbeulah feels like a continuation of that story, but with a slightly more lively presence. Not far from Sheboygan Marsh, this village developed as a quiet community surrounded by wide natural landscapes. It was never a major industrial center, nor did it experience a population boom, And perhaps because of that, it never truly declined. In places like Glenbeulah, time seems to move more slowly. The streets remain simple, the community stays small, and life continues without dramatic change. Glenbeulah has no story of collapse. It was never abandoned because it never lost its reason to exist. And that may be what makes it stand out in this list. Not because of eerie silence, but because of a calm that endures. After Glenbeulah, a quiet and steady village, Montreal introduces something slightly different. A place that was once larger, then shrank, but never completely disappeared. Located in Iron County in northern Wisconsin, Montreal was built on something we have seen before in this story: iron mining. In the early 20th century, the town grew as part of the industrial boom in the Gogbic Range. Even its name, Montreal, was inspired by the Canadian city, reflecting the ambition it once carried. And for a time, that ambition felt real. The community expanded, workers arrived, and the town developed a more defined structure than many others on this list. But like Clam Lake, everything depended on mining. When the industry declined, Montreal did not collapse entirely. It shrank. The population decreased, activity slowed, and the atmosphere shifted from a busy industrial town to a much quieter small community. Salle feels even quieter because it never truly failed. It was simply left behind over time. Established in the 19th century in the rural area of Marathon County, Salle began as a small farming community. There were no major mines, no significant railroad connections, just land, families, and a simple life built day by day. Places like this rarely make history books, yet they formed the foundation of many Midwestern communities, and that was also its vulnerability. Without strong industry or major connections, Salle depended entirely on the stability of its population. As younger generations moved to more developed cities and economic opportunities shifted elsewhere, the town began to lose the one thing it needed most: a reason to continue. Today, Salle has left almost no clear trace as a town at all. Meanwhile, Porter's Mills is an example of what happens when a town loses one essential element and everything else begins to fall apart. Located along a river in Portage County, this community was built around a single center of life: the mill. Like many 19th century settlements in Wisconsin, the presence of a mill, whether a sawmill or a grist mill, was not just about the economy, but the very reason people came, settled, and built a community. As long as the mill operated, life continued to revolve around it. But when that activity stopped, whether due to shifting trade routes, advancing technology, or declining demand, the foundation of the town quickly weakened. There was no other industry to replace it, no strong reason for people to stay. Dunville feels different, quieter, slower, as if it was left behind by time itself. Located along the Red Cedar River, it was once a small community shaped by the natural forces around it. The river was more than scenery. It was a lifeline, powering mills, supporting local activity, and connecting the town to the outside world. For a while, that was enough. But like many small towns built on older systems, gradual change began to erode its existence. There was no single event that ended Dunville, no sudden collapse, just a slow and steady decline until eventually the community lost its reason to remain. Pendarvis offers something different, a town that is already gone, yet its shadow can still be seen. Located in Mineral Point, Wisconsin, this area was once home to Cornish lead miners from England during the 19th century. They built simple stone houses with a distinct style, forming a small community with a strong cultural identity in the middle of a mining region. As long as the mines remained productive, life in Pendarvis was stable. But like many mining towns, everything depended on a limited resource. When the mining output declined, residents slowly began to leave, abandoning the homes and lives they had built. Today, Pendarvis is no longer an active town, but a preserved historical site. Its buildings still stand, as if time itself has been frozen in place.